Nice. Right, so that's us recording. So, let's too close straight away. So we'll start with the usual question to start with, Ross. Who and what is Finnieston Clothing?
That's a good question.
It's like, oh God, what is it?
It's changed a bit over the years. But I mean, Finnieston Clothing as it is now it's a Glasgow heritage brand, which takes a lot of inspiration from the industrial heritage of Glasgow, where we do a selection of t-shirts, shirts, general kind of menswear apparel at the moment, as you can see some of it's here as well.
Yep.
So and yeah, we've been going for properly since probably about 2020, I would say, you know. So
Best year.
what?
The best year.
The best, yeah.
The year it all nearly went to pot.
So yeah, it's been one of those kind of, I don't know, since 2020 you're kind of going into work every week with like a hard hat on, ready to get scalped with something new or different, really. Where I don't know, it's been such a weird journey to get to this point now where we're sitting in an actual shop with actual clothing, where but it's as I was saying to you guys earlier, that we're really happy with where we are at as a brand from a shop point of view. We like the West End here because they've got a good kind of local support.
Yep.
And I think when trying to find an actual try to figure out where to put a shop can be hard. We did actually nearly get somewhere in the city centre, which fell through. We even looked at the south side for a bit as well, where kind of Shawlands area. But the issue that we have is within the store is we do quite a lot of other brands as well. That was quite important for us, is as a new brand, is to have some other stuff in here that kind of
it works really well,
complement our own. And I think when you're a new brand and people walk in and see brands that they associate with quality, that works for us. So I think if we were city centre, we wouldn't have been able to get any of those brands due to other people stocking them.
Right. So is that a thing where, like, if your stock radius overlaps somebody else, you'd have struggled?
I think the West End is kind of seen in its own little kind of area, and within, and the likes of City Centre, you've got End Clothing, 18 Montrose, you've got Fat Buddha, you've got Fraser's, you've got all this kind of, that's kind of bun fight in there, where it's nice to have this kind of little area to yourself, really.
West End is really nice though.
So
and what's quite important?
Good.
What's quite important about some of those bigger stores like Fraser's and that, they might have Pendleton, but they will only have it in their store. Yeah. But that's then going to stop you from having it in your store. You've very clearly got a wide range of everybody that you stock in store here in Byers Road, don't you?
Yeah. That's what I think where we've really struggled within here is to, get really well-known trainer brands, because literally nobody will supply you because of End Clothing. I've got no problem with End Clothing or anything like that, but I think because they're such a huge, customer to a lot of these kind of trainer brands, and you've got somebody that's a smaller, obviously independent clothing store who's not going to be doing £1 million orders with them. They're like, there's no point in actually trying to even pissing End off to do that. So it's actually, but in a way, it's been good for us because we've actually had to go out and maybe source brands that isn't everywhere. You've actually, you couldn't be lazy in that situation where where we're really lucky to get like Danner boots in. Like they've been, that's been a great success for us in here. We would never have got them in city centre. But the likes of End Clothing, like they might put them in there maybe a month of the year. And that's where, because they've got their premium range, the Portland Select range, which we've actually got coming in for this winter. We've been allowed to have it, which is nice.
And do you think that builds off the back of you guys showing Danner that you'll stock all year round?
I think it's a lot of people, it's just like, get your foot in the door, get some clothes. You prove that you're going to pay them.
The big one.
You'll pay them. But then also it's just like, there's within kind of branded retail, there's a lot of discounting. And that's where one of the reasons I'm probably in a position where I wanted to start Finnieston, where, I was in my family's retail business where we had a multi-brand, and the issue with that kind of business model is that, anybody can walk into any of your stores and try something on and then go and get it for cheaper online somewhere else. And there's a lot of kind of online only players within the UK that, they'll just bring in core products, core bar and discount it straight away. Where it's, you're kind of, and the thing is as well, is just like, with us as a CCW, which is my family's store, is that we're very pro bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
Like to get people into the shops. We don't want to chase people necessarily online by trying to sell things cheaper online. So it's one of these situations with online, as you guys probably know yourselves, you're either in or you're out. You're either spending big, which unless you're discounting products, it comes down to more of a numbers game. Where people are sitting buying. The likes of brands love it because people are coming in and buying a lot more stock. But the reason for that is because they're selling it at a reduced margin. And it's basically just comes down to numbers, really. So
they're trying to shift 100 rather than shift one of what you're trying to do, but they're only making 10 pence on every single one.
Yeah.
Whatever the numbers are to make that same profit margin.
I was actually we were speaking to it was a well-known, I won't mention their name, like waterproof kind of brand, and they were saying that some online person came in and basically bought, I think it was like 10,000 waterproof trousers, and they were selling them at £2 over the recommended retail price. Do you know what I mean? Where it's literally just like they're just churning stuff out, but they don't have any stores or anything like that. It's just
a warehouse somewhere.
A warehouse somewhere. So that's why I ended up doing this, where I wanted to be in charge of my own destiny a bit more. Where it was it's quite a nice feeling when people walk into the shop and you can see them go up to the barcodes and they're scanning it because that's what people do. They go in there and scan barcodes, and it'll come up online where you can
Can't
actually.
say I've ever done that, but
no,
it's
I
to
can't.
hear.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's a nice feeling when you can see people scanning your barcodes, your own stuff, and it's just like this is the only place in the world you can get this.
So what is that? Somebody can scan it on like an app, can they?
Yeah, there's apps you get where you go around and it's just like they'll scan barcodes and
You've
then
told everybody.
Well, it's what they'll do, and then basically what will come up and tell you where you can get the stuff cheapest. Google Ads does that anyway, where if you type in something at Google Shop, it'll come up and it'll basically tell you where you can get stuff, and then you can scroll down to find the cheapest one.
And then they're just using a bricks and mortar shop as a fitting room, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you're not doing your own stuff, your place just becomes a fitting room for everybody else, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So, and that's where my mum and dad, they've been in the business for 35 years. So, they're fortunate to have built up a really strong customer base over the years, and they're doing fine. But for somebody that's starting off in this game, that's selling other brands, that's a small shop, it's really, really hard. And you're not just fighting against other people online pure only people, but then you're actually every single brand is trying to find a better way to go direct to the consumer as well. So you're actually fighting against the brands, and speaking to a guy locally who's got a shop, and he was saying that one of his suppliers, one of his brands, basically just done a massive 30% off everything a month before Christmas. Do you know what I mean? And you're literally just like, it's just the kind of landscape of where we're in at the moment. So, but it's just it's been a right funny couple of years.
Aye. We talk about this every time we come in. It's just in the same way yourself or Luke, whoever I'm talking to, it's just like you're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Aye.
There will be someday, and if anyone's watching this in however many years to come, if you know how to do it, get in touch. Tell us both how to do it, because we'd love to know. And that's the reality of it, isn't it?
It's the whole kind of, and this is where it's just like, with Finnieston Clothing, and what I'm wanting to do is this direct-to-consumer approach. So, and hopefully what we're trying to achieve by that is that, because we're not necessarily looking for a wholesale bounce, which, most brands would be trying to do, it means that we can try and keep quality to a good level and sell things at a reasonable price as well.
Yeah.
Whereas, and this is what happens, because a lot of our stuff's made in Portugal. My agent in Portugal says, people always end up coming to me, and then once they look for that wholesale bounce, they end up having to go to the Far East.
Right.
And that's what kind of happens within the kind of retail landscape, where in order to reach that, because this is where it's just like you want to grow your business, and if somebody goes to wholesale the brand, it's you need to sell them to a product, and then they need to sell it on to the customer as well. Yeah. So
there's more steps, isn't there?
Yeah.
Everyone takes a cut every step.
Yeah, exactly. So and then you've got the agency that's probably selling your products, also taking a discount on what they're selling as well. So that's where for us as a brand, if you're a direct to consumer brand, it's really trying to figure out just good stories. And I think with a brand like Finnieston Clothing is that we need to go out and acquire our own customers. But I think the way that the kind of online retail landscape is, it's never been more expensive or harder to actually reach those people.
Yes.
So, and that's where
Absolutely.
it's just, you've just literally just got to try and, think, and that's where it's just like, any kind of like piece that we do, it's actually just like, right, what kind of a little story can we put through that? And I think it's been great. Like, obviously, like, for us, we wanted to make a heritage brand from Glasgow, and that heritage is industrial. I'm really lucky to have like a really good family friend who's a Clydeside historian and author, which he basically, I spent countless kind of days up in this guy's attic, basically just, and he's just got this museum, and we just basically just went through the history of stuff. And for me, it was just like seeing like the old shipping logos. The old ships that were painted dazzle camouflage down the docks and stuff like that as well. I was actually just like, there's something actually quite current here, know. And I think it's quite easy to kind of go down that kind of tweedy flat cap kind of look, which is fine. Do you know what I mean? But it's just like it's trying to make something modern, like a modern heritage.
Yes. And it's kind of like it's blue collar heritage.
Yeah,
it's not, and that's kind of what I like about the store, and what certainly resonates with me, and like the work shirts and all that jazz. It's blue collar, hard working heritage. It's not. You think Scotland, you think big country estate. You think of hunting dogs. You think of nice shotguns, cashmere, all that stuff. Whereas this is what actually Scotland was about for everybody else. Yeah. It wasn't in the multi-million-pound mansion. Everybody else was the Clydeside worker or supporting that industry, whether it's whether it was a snack bar, the Jerry snack bar stuff that you done, and that was quite cool for me to see, because it's like that was actually still an industry servicing an industry, because that's what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that whole story, I think, is what. So obviously, a lot of the people we speak to are makers, like hands on, they're actually making it, but that's kind of where I think Finnieston crosses the maker path. Although you call yourself a brand, the brand story is similar to what a maker's story would be. You're forging a story for yourself. Yeah. Was that quite important to you? Off by the bus there. Was that quite important to you for the start to have that brand path?
Yeah,
that
I
story
think so.
Behind
Because
it?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like
He was loving that, wasn't he? He obviously knew. Your podcast now.
I think, and this is where it's just literally just like, if you see like the shirts that are up here and stuff like that, nicely designed shirt, but then, it's a shirt. And it's just like menswear's quite repetitive. And it's just like, it's just trying to work out your kind of brand DNA. What's your story that you put behind things? And, the likes of the shirts that we've got sitting up here as well, and all of our jackets and things like that. We've got like little overtime tickets, which was a genuine overtime ticket that we were given from a historian that we got made into labels. Cool. And we hide that through our jackets. Yeah. And that's where it's just like, if you get somebody trying on a jacket and, or even if somebody's bought one of these online and it's just like they're trying it on and like, what the hell was that? And it's just like a wee kind of added on little bit of history, really. So, and that's where it's just like, like our dazzle camouflage shirts that we've got as well, where they are like, it's like a dazzle camouflage, which is inspired by the ships, but actually the pattern that runs through the dazzle camouflage is actually an old map of the Queen's docks as well.
Oh, is that right?
That's
cool.
So, and was it historically that also?
Yeah. Right. Well, that's the thing is, and that's where it's it's just trying to make things where it's not just a nice pattern, where it's just like there's an actual story. It's got a meaning and a story behind that, and that's where it's just like like it's kind of like, right, we don't want to go down that tartan route, but then it's like, what is our tartan? And try and hone in on that, where there's a nice kind of story behind things, and I think that's where it's just like people like stories, and that's where it's just like, and I think in the position that we're in at the moment, we can't afford to be lazy. You constantly have to be thinking about what is new, what can we be doing, and this is where it's just like, what can we be doing better from the point of view of our sourcing. At this moment in time, I would say like, I'd say 75% of our range is made in Portugal. The other 25 is made in Scotland as well.
Right.
Okay. So, but like, that other part, that Scottish part of our range is something that we're really looking to try and develop.
Yeah.
But this is where it's just like, if you're getting stuff made in Scotland, it's more expensive.
Yep.
And then, but what it is, and I think there is a group of people out there, like that want to buy Scottish, understand why it's expensive, and that's fine. But then it's just like, okay, how is it we communicate that message to the broader spectrum of people that maybe are conscious consumers, right? That maybe go, okay, I've never actually understood why things maybe cost more, and it's just trying to basically communicate things and just basically communicating your message across better, that, you know, this is why we want to get things made locally, this is why things are more expensive.
I guess that's what we do with the publication as well, is just trying to assure people, like, you know, it's expensive, and you know, there's so much going into a handmade product that, you know, this is why it is expensive.
This is why it's expensive. This is all the steps that go into it. It's what we set out to do originally with the magazine, as Kate says, the publication, and why we're doing this as well.
You guys are a brand, but you can't just sit here and go, right, guys, this is why this is expensive. Do you know what I mean? You've got to think of something flamboyant and funny and engaging that basically gives that message across. So
otherwise it just falls flat every time. It falls flat. There's so many other folk, especially social media, man. There's so many people doing, annoyingly, it's like daft dances and like stupid fail videos that do really well, and you're trying to like create a brand that makes a difference or create a brand that supports our family, and it just keeps falling flat.
You see some influencer or some person sharing rubbish on Instagram, and you like, you see their following just shooting up, and you're literally
furious.
But yeah, as it is, I think, you know, and you'll know yourselves, like, if you want to do something properly, there's no quick way up the mountain. I think it takes time, you know, unless you've got loads of money. Do you know what I mean? Then you can maybe go out and maybe get them a wee bit quicker.
Yeah.
But unless
it kind of fades out, doesn't it? Like you see people that, and obviously you don't know for sure if they've had loads of money, but you see people that do rock it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Loads of paid ads, rock it up pretty quick. And very few of them are around 12 months later, 18 months later. So I think doing it like
organically is the best way. I mean,
organic
it's a hard
and
way,
slow.
but I think
yeah. No, definitely. And it's variations of different content, but the thing is, it's literally just like, you know, we're talking about, you know, spending money on advertising. Like, you can't spend enough money on content, you know, and that's where, like, for us as a brand, it's just like we've never invested properly in content or marketing, where it's been a case of we're just so happy to have some stock, do you know? And it's literally just like, let's go and do a photo shoot and just and do it. And we're just like, you know, we do all the styling, we do all the art direction for that, but that only gets you so far. Do you know what I mean? That gets that, and I think, you know, that's where we're at that point now as a brand, where it's just like, right, we've done an okay job in top until here, but if we're really wanting to spend a lot of money on marketing and sales, we're not doing this ourselves anymore. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it starts to get into scary territory of money, where, you know, and that's where I think next year we're really looking to try and push that a bit more and you know, try and you know, obviously I think the brand on a local level makes sense to a lot of people. You know, that's where it's just like, you know, anybody from Glasgow understands this brand, but then it's literally just like, how is it we communicate this brand to a UK audience that don't know what Yarrow is or Bartley Curl Shipyards and stuff like that, and it's just like
you're kind of trying to teach them or educate them on what it is, and sometimes that can be difficult, you know.
You're starting from scratch, aren't you? You're no tugging at those heartstrings. You know, the Clyde side, the big Titan crane. You're not tugging at the heartstrings of that, of people that recognise that and the artwork you've got in the store and the overtime tickets. You're teaching them what that's all about first, and then you need to tug at the heartstrings after they're invested in it.
I mean, the thing is, it's actually just like, across the UK, across the world, there's industrial heritage everywhere. Do you know? And that's where it's just trying to work out how is it you communicate your brand better to people in all these areas, but while keeping your identity. Do you know? So it's just trying to figure that out, really. So, but it's Well, if you work it out, let us know. Let us know how to do it, because we don't know either.
So so you started at CCW.
Yeah.
And that was your parents' company.
Yeah.
So did you always want to come out and set up your own clothing brand, or was that something that came later?
If I'm being honest, like I've always, like, ever since I was, you know, very small, like, I've always been on and off involved in my mum and dad's business. But, you know, from you know, when you're 16, 17, when you're about that age and people asking you, what is it you want to do with your life? I was always just like, I'm never working with my mum and dad. I was never, honestly, I was just like, I was like, not full time. You know, I was happy to come in at the shops if, you know, and work, you know, if it was just like the summer holidays and stuff like that. So, it was, I was never really I always wanted to do my own thing. I went away travelling, you know, and I would say travelling, just went and lived in different places across the world for probably about 8 years.
Right.
Came home, and it was literally just like, right, I dodged around a few different kind of sales jobs, and then ended up, I don't know, I was like 30 years old and I was working in a restaurant. You know, when I was, you know, about 6 years ago, I was working in the butcher shop, bar and grill.
Right.
The restaurant there. Right. And I was literally, my mum and dad were like, actually thinking about maybe selling the business, and it wasn't then until my sister kind of piped up and was just like, no, I want to take over the business. And then my mum and dad, my sister were literally just like, Ross, what are you doing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was, do you know what I mean? Still sitting there. I was just like, at one point I was just like, I don't know, I might go and pursue an acting career or something like that. I think I was having a quarter life crisis.
Brilliant, man.
But then they went into my mum and dad's business, and we opened up the shop on Byers Road.
Right.
We opened up that one myself.
And this is the CCW shop.
Yeah. So, and going into, I hated working in the shops. Like,
right.
Like day-to-day retail. It just doesn't sit well with me.
Right.
But what I loved was, you know, going into the business and doing the buy-in, where it was, you know, going and seeing, you know, Barber, Patagonia, Fjallraven, you know, all these kind of menswear brands, and I eventually, you know, really, and then there was, you know, that kind of flair of going out and sourcing other brands to go into the shop as well, where, you know, and I think, you know, those kind of few years I was in CCW, it was quite kind of country lifestyle, I would say, CCW.
Yep.
And then we moved it more into kind of outdoor lifestyle, which has turned out really, really great for us, because it's obviously, like, the outdoor industry has never been as fashionable, I would say.
It's unbelievable. You know? It's unbelievable.
So, well, that's been great. But I used to just love, you know, putting your name down on certain items, and, you know, and it was such a nice feeling, you know, seeing that sell.
Right.
You know, it was that, you know, and
knowing that you got that in the store, and then that's gone.
I mean, there was some you bought that didn't sell, but it's kind of like putting a coupon on, you know.
It's that scratchy.
But then, and then I think it was just my mum and dad were literally just like, I think, you know, due to the kind of, we spoke about that kind of online landscape and the way that things were, like, we need to have our own brand. So that's why, you know, I was just like, all right, I'll do it. And then, started doing that, and so we launched Finnieston actually in 2017 as a brand that sat within CCW. Which probably looked more like Barber, I would say, than it is now. Because Barber was probably the best-selling brand within CCW, my mum and dad were like, we just want our own version of that. And it was just, go make that.
Go make that and put a Finnieston label on it.
But I mean, we did do, like, the thing is, like, we launched it was about 2018, I think we launched that as the product, but we did gents jackets, ladies jackets, ladies knitwear, gents knitwear, ladies accessories, it was ladies cashmere, ladies lamb's wool, like, and it was just this massive collection that we launched, like, and I it's something I actually look back on now with the experience that I have now. I was actually just like, I wouldn't even do what I did then myself. So I went out and sourced every single material, every single zip, every single popper, did all the product development myself with not having a clue how to do anything. It nearly killed me. And that was before I'd launched anything.
It's tough.
So you went straight through the bat. You're like, I'm going to choose everything right through the thread colour.
Yeah, well, no, don't get me wrong. Like I was just like, like when it was basically, you know, material selections, which, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, one thing that we did, which was great, and everything that we did actually in that first collection was actually really good. From the point of view of all the jackets were made in the UK, all the knitwear was made in Scotland. You know, so like there was actually. Everything was made in the UK. We did a great collaboration with a Glasgow artist, James Klinger, who's done lots of murals about the city. So one of the gents' jackets and one of the ladies' jackets had a limited edition artist lining in it and stuff like that. And the quality was all great. But I think I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a clue. And that's where it was just literally just like, we'd bought all these jackets and all this knitwear, and we had this massive, you know, spent a lot of money on that. And then it goes like, right, how do we sell this? Do you know what I mean? And it was actually just like, that's fine, I'll do a wee Facebook course. So, you know, we'll maybe spend £100 a week, but I think you have any idea how much money you actually have to put into a brand to get, and also the fact that the stuff's not cheap either. I think, you know, for me, I was actually just like, I did like a brand video. I was just like, right, that's had 250,000, you know, views. I'm working with this influencer, I'm working with that. Can't go wrong.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where it was just like, I just thought it was as easy as that.
And but it's not, is it?
No, it's not.
Very hard.
Turns out it takes a long time to get customized.
Because in your head, it's like, right, this is so good, it's going to sell, it's going to sell, it's got to sell. And then you're like, oh, why not?
Like, you're looking at this product. You're looking at this product, like Kate says, it's absolutely mint. It ticks all the boxes. You're looking at the Facebook course walk away tick sheet, ticked all the boxes, and somehow you're like, it's not working. What have I missed? I know exactly what you're saying because we've gone through it time and time and time again. It wasn't until we got Shaka Social or social media help on board and we're like, they're telling us what we're doing, we're still like, we take it. Like, it's fine, just keep doing it. It's working, keep doing it.
I had a digital executive that was helping me.
Right.
She did like all the photography. She did all the social media. Like none of she wasn't necessarily qualified to do any of that. The poor girl. But this is just this big learning curve of like, you know. But the thing is, it was literally just like I look back at the actual products that came out, and I was actually just like, they were actually brilliant.
Aye.
But the problem was, it was just like there was probably not a clear enough brand direction, I would say. Do you know what I mean? Where it was almost just like the jackets looked a bit like a little bit of a different version of a barber jacket. Do you know?
Right.
Where I would say there wasn't a clear enough identity. You know, where like for it to sit in CCW and sell and trickle away, that's fine. But you know, having that online kind of brand, which we wanted it to. Obviously, I was expecting to sell. I thought I was going to break the internet when I launched it. Like I was sitting there.
Watch this, boy.
The printer would be like, the order's flying out the printer. But
we've got to sell out of the ladies in the first hour. Yeah. It's going to be fine. No bother. Hour one goes by. Nothing.
Oh, I remember like we launched the brand. There was so many disasters with it. Not necessarily with the product, but like, you know, with late deliveries, all that kind of stuff. I remember being in the mindset that it was like kind of end of October we were launching. I was actually just like, I think we're gonna be sold out by like before Christmas. And like I might go back to Australia for a couple of weeks, Do you know what I mean? It's just like and let I remember like, and this is where it was just like, you know, we launched that collection at night, and then the next day I was literally just like, I'm going into the office on the Saturday, I'm gonna start hammering through these web orders and stuff like that. And I had like 6 to do. Do you know what I mean? And it was literally just like you're sitting there like,
first 45 minutes you've done them all, and you're like, right, cool.
What's going on here? You know, and that's where it's just like, I think that's when my journey probably properly started.
Right.
As like, I would say in this industry where it was literally just like, you just got pushed in at the deep end, really.
Aye.
Where you've got all this stock and you're literally just like, how'd you get rid of it? So, not you need to get rid of it, but it was literally just like, so that's where we kind of launched that collection, and then we kind of got some advice, you know, as I will admit, we had somebody come on and help us with kind of like, okay, you know, obviously like I've done not a bad job to get it to here, but literally just like, it was just like, I think we need to basically, you know, we either make the decision here whether it stays within a brand within CCW, or do you want it to be a brand within its own right? Okay. And then that's where we're literally just like, we want it to be a brand within its own right. So that's when we kind of went, right, okay, let's just chop ladies, you know, what is it you want to do, Ross? And I was literally just, I wanted to do like a Glaswegian heritage brand, and then that's how we've kind of ended up here.
Yeah.
Right.
You've done a good job.
So it's it's you know yourselves, it's just making mistakes, you know, painful ones, and you learn from that. You don't do it again.
Aye.
That's it. Do you know? And unfortunately, with my limited experience I had before doing that, I've had loads of them.
Aye.
So I feel a bit traumatised, actually. I might start crying here.
It's like it turned into a therapy session.
Turn the camera off.
Sometimes when you sit down and think about like how much you've gone through to get to where you are now, it's like quite like, I actually did that, you know, and you should be proud of that.
And there's where I know it's obviously I've been probably reading quite a bit of self-help stuff, you know, over the years, but it's just like where there is pain, there is growth, you know, and that's where it's just like, and I think, you know, with what's happened over, like, because, you know, we were supposed to relaunch Finnieston in 2020, when we were literally just like, okay, let's get we were just about to sign the lease in a shop
right
in 2020, and then it was literally just like, then this started to like lumber away, and we're literally just like, I don't know if we should sign this lease. Like, this doesn't look good, you know. And then
sign a lease for somewhere you can't open the doors for 2 years.
Yeah, and so eventually, obviously, we all got locked down. And as we got locked down, this is when Portugal decided to get their arse into gear and go, right, okay, we've actually made all your jackets. And I was literally just like, can you pay us, please?
Brilliant time in Portugal.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And it's not like I could just go out and, you put all this time and effort into, this kind of new brand concept and stuff like that. And it's literally just like, I literally had to pay them in some way. Do you know what I mean? They took them long enough.
Right.
But
they're there now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it wasn't like I could go and do a wee shady photo shoot somewhere or anything like that, because it was literally just like, I'm not spending all this time and money to get the brand to where I want it to be, to then, try and take some pictures of me down the park. You know what I mean? Like a partner's phone.
Yeah.
Aye. Get your partner to come out with you with the iPhone.
Yeah, so I've made that mistake before.
So what does that look like for you now? We'll talk about the Portugal in a bit, but you also have the 20k and the 40k line as well. Eh? So what does the Portugal line look like for you? How do you manage that, and how does that all work step by step?
With Portugal, so and what from sourcing, or how that kind of works for me? Or?
How so you kind of, you're obviously not the maker, you're not sewing each one of these up, but you are a maker in the fact that you're designing it all, you're getting the inspiration for it all. What does this sort of design process and the sourcing process look like for yourself?
Well, I'll be honest here, is that I'm not like as you're probably aware, I'm not like I didn't go to design school, or I've not worked under any kind of famous designer or anything
a lot
like
of people
that.
haven't.
No, I'm not ex-Montclair. So it's what I'll do is I'll come up with like a design brief.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go like, okay, this is what I want, and then I'll work with a designer.
Oh, cool.
And then he'll basically he'll drop some designs. I'll go, okay, I want that there, that there, that there. And I think this is where it's just like my experience with CCW is just invaluable from the point of view of seeing things that brands try and change things or move things around.
So what works and what doesn't work.
What doesn't work, and and that's where it's just like what products you can maybe push that way, but then it's also, it's just like, okay, you still have to have a commercial mindset as well, of that most guys are pretty boring when it comes to their, sorry guys, but no, we're called creatures of habit, and so that's where I'll work with the designer from that point of view, and then I'll go out to Portugal and hand over the tech packs.
Right.
And work with the factories there, and then I'll take care of all the kind of material selections. That's one thing that I'm really big on, and is details, trims, and also materials.
That's what makes the products.
Aye.
Yeah.
These little things.
So, and really, really trying to hone in, and because that's where it's just like, as a brand, we don't ever cut corners when it comes to trying to use good materials, because we actually want to make stuff that you can work in.
Aye.
That's the thing. There's a wee pen pocket here. See?
Oh, nice.
There you are.
So
I've got one of these shirts. I've not noticed there's a pen pocket in here. I go to put it in case that it's like the only, like I was saying to you earlier, it's like the only clothes I don't work in. It's the stuff that I get out of here, so that's probably why I've not noticed it yet. It's got a pen pocket in it, so you can use it to renovate the house.
Yeah, and then the process from there, it just comes to like it's a sampling process really. Where, and then what I think that's where like most of the delays happen in Portugal as a new brand as well. It's just like what you're kind of looking for is that, I think if anybody goes to, even Portugal are probably good for minimum order quantities, like they're one of the lower end. It's still a big jump for like a small brand to sit there and go, right, okay, take that leap and say you're ordering 200 of these jackets.
Aye.
Do you know? And it's but I think the problem, because you're the lower end of what people are ordering, is that when it comes to a sampling process, you're everybody's last priority, so you end up getting pushed into the queue in the sampling process. I think that's probably my most painful bit here, is actually just trying to get first and second samples from factories to go over and critique.
Right.
That just seems to take forever.
Right.
So and working with them on that, and then and as I said, it's just just trying to work out through every single product is how is it we make that ours. Yeah. And that's what saying, like, a plain t-shirt's a plain t-shirt, or You know, it's literally just like, what kind of little things can we put through there? Like, you know, our kind of brand colours are, you know, there's a lot of kind of, you know, greys, bones, reds, and it's literally just like, even looking for somewhere that you can just put a nice contrast red stitch or, you know, something, you know, stuff like this here. You know, where that just kind of just makes it yours. So, and as I say, like, menswear can be a little bit repetitive, so it's just trying to keep things a bit more kind of vibrant and trying to, you know, keep things moving in that direction. So.
Smashing. So and then how does that differ when you're looking at the 20 and 40k range?
The 40k, it's I don't know where you got 20k. There's 40k.
Maybe, I don't know.
No. I think some of our stuff is made 20k from the shop, but I think there's other stuff that's made 40k. So, but we've just got at this moment in time, all we've got is a 40k away collection, which means we had last season we had a jacket that was made in Cumbernauld. Which we used a moon fabric for, like a wool bomber. That was made in Cumbernauld. We've got a knitwear factory that we use in Stewarton.
Cool.
That's probably the 20k.
That's maybe the 20k one that I read then.
So that's made in Stewarton, and then also all our kind of beanies and accessories are all made in Stewarton as well. So, cool. And that's where it's like, you know, for us, it's like, you know, I think Scotland has such a rich knitwear history. In fact, the actual knitwear industry in Scotland's really busy. You know,
even still at the moment, is it?
Yeah, it's super busy. You know, I'm one of the maybe positives that came from Brexit is, you know, there's a lot of people want to get stuff done, you know,
in-house,
you know, a lot more locally as well. So some of that, I've struggled to actually get a knitwear factory. I think the knitwear factory that I'm at in Stewarton's just, I think they're doing stuff for me because they like me and they want to be seen to be supporting a local brand.
Right.
So I'm really, really fortunate to have them as well. So we're launching a new wax jacket this winter, which is we're doing the Lint House jacket, which we've done for quite a while. We're doing a waxed version of that.
Nice.
In a navy and also in a dazzle camouflage wax.
Nice.
So which is kind of like the colours like tiger camel, kind of like that. That's what the dazzle is, and they're going to be made in Fife. So I might put it in the 40k away collection. It's probably a lot more than 40k, but I really can't be arsed renaming it. If anybody wants to haul me over the coals for that, they're an arsehole.
For the 40k,
they're part of the problem. So
there was a picture up here with the dazzle camel, wasn't there? Aye, the one behind the
shirts up there that's like the
and then there's the painting behind your till.
Yeah,
it's got that. The bottom half of the ship was the dazzle camel. That's it. Aye.
So we're doing that for this winter, which is it's so that'll be like a kind of our whole made in Scotland collection that we're doing. So it's a chunky amount. So the likes of all of our like accessories and stuff like that we get made in Stewarton and stuff like that are all brilliant. You know, and really, really great to deal with. And what I would say is that any of the, you know, whether it's, you know, Hallie Stevenson, that, you know, who I get my wax cotton from, Mackie's, the knitwear factory and stuff like that, they've all helped me so much to get to this point from the point of view of, you know, when you're ordering small amounts and stuff like that, they still treat you like you're a big customer and stuff like that as well. And
that's good to hear.
So do you find they're as invested in you being a small business as you are as invested in using home?
I don't know if it is. I just find the communication an awful lot better because, you know, Portugal's just, it's, you just get an answer back a lot quicker and things seem to happen a lot quicker here as well. So
good.
And that's something that I'll be wanting to try and invest in more as a brand as well. So
that was one of my questions for you. Is that something you see? Is that where the Finnieston, would you like to move entirely over to Scottish manufacturing?
As I said, but the thing is, it's literally just like, it just depends on the infrastructure, because it's like, as an example, like, you know, our t-shirts, you know, which are all garment dyed, we like to garment dye our stuff. You know, the likes of this shirt here, for example, when it would have been basically sewn up as a completely white shirt.
Oh, okay.
And then basically what happens is they go into dyeing tanks and they get dyed. So what that helps us is, for example, instead of having to order like 300 of the one colour, it means that we can order a material and split it up between almost like 3 colours. Okay. So the likes of the blues, garment dyed, we've got an off-white shirt that's garment dyed. All the jackets and shirts that you can see here and all the T-shirts and all that, they're all garment dyed. Which I really like garment dye stuff, is because you might see things that are garment dye and you can just see as you wear it more, the seams will maybe start to slightly distress, I would say, where that original almost kind of white, almost that original white piece almost starts to almost kind of just slightly leak out. And I think it's actually...
it looks worn.
Yeah. That's enriched the piece, and it fits in well with our kind of brand and how we want things to look. So...
that process makes a massive difference for what you can order then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to then order, say, 100 metres of blue, 100 metres of khaki, 100 metres of bone. You can just order 100 metres
of a plain white, from a material ready to garment dye. And then, you just basically cut it. We can get that made into, for example, 300 white shirts, and then dye 100, dye 100, and dye 100. Right, so then basically how that'll work is you've got 3 colours instead of having to do that kind of one. So that way is really good for young brands to try and get around, minimum order quantities. As an example, you'll go to like a jersey factory, and I think the general consensus in Portugal is that, the least they'll do is 300 t-shirts. But then what you'll do is you'll say, well, what you can do is you can garment dye it and, get 100 and, a few different colours, and then put logos on them and stuff like that as well. So...
That really helps as a small business, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That. And is that something that you've had to learn, or was that experience from CCW that came forward to bring that?
No, I wouldn't say it was necessarily experience of CCW. It was just the experience that you've had for being a young brand and working out how you can get around ordering stuff, without having to, because at the end of the day, it's just like, to have 300 of one piece turn up is a scary place to be in.
You've got all this stock.
You need to be pretty sure about what you're doing in store and online. I don't know what I'm doing online yet. As we said, we've not found out the riddle yet. The conundrum.
Would be nice to know.
So,
but I'm waiting on your ladies' wear.
Yes, that is something that we are looking to develop as well. So
we were talking about this just 6 or 8 weeks ago when Kate came in a storming mood, temper lost because she couldn't find anything at the shops, and I was like, you just need a shop like Finnieston.
I know.
It does women's wear. And then sure enough, you posted the other day that they're going to be doing women's wear.
Yeah.
I was like, see, you just need good quality stuff. Like, I think people are getting, in fact, it'd be interesting to know your thoughts on that. I think people are getting more conscious of the buy well, buy once. Without using the cliche, like people seem to want to spend a bit more money for something that'll last.
Yep.
And especially if it's not on trend styled. I think guys wear's probably a bit better for that. Like there's not really fast fashion trends as such. At least I don't think so.
Like your shirt would last forever, and I don't think the style would change.
No.
Whereas with women's wear, it's always changing. There's always that thing like, oh, I've already wore that like 10 times, can't wear it again. Whereas it's
the likes of this shirt, as soon as we brought this in the ecru, which is that colour over there, that sold really well to ladies, because ladies just wear it as like an oversized shirt.
Yeah.
Do you know? And it's just over the top of a t-shirt and stuff like that, and a nice pair of jeans. It looks great.
Aye.
And that's where it's. But then it's as I said, we are looking to try and incorporate some nice little stories through ladies as well, because the whole industrial heritage of Glasgow is just like women had a huge part to play in that as well. And it's just trying to work out how it is you marry that history and putting maybe not an overtime ticket through things, but how we can make that relevant to women as well. And my experience with CCW as well was great, because there'd be so many brands, as I was saying, it was just like, oh, we'll just shrink it and pink it. Do you know what I mean? And women hate that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where it's literally just like, I don't want to just do women's versions of the guy stuff. You really need to put a bit of thought and time into it as well, because women will recognise that as well.
Yeah.
Where it's trying to make it still Finnieston clothing, but at the same time it holds its own right.
Yes.
And its own identity to it. So still has, and I think that a bit of a utilitarian feel to it, but still comfortable. But as you said, it's just like I think so many people, and the thing is, as soon as COVID's out the way, which I think it is, and then and then we've got the cost of living crisis, and then the war in Ukraine, and all this kind of stuff. Like the next thing that crisis is, it's back to climate change, and that's never going away. No. That's only going to get worse, and that's the truth. So it's literally just like, that's why it's so important for us as a brand, where it's literally just like, just do all the right stuff. Yeah. And we don't shout from the rooftops that we are super sustainable. We don't throw that word around, because we're just doing what we should be doing.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Where I've been buying sessions of CCW, and I was actually just like looking at pictures of stuff, and it says sustainable on the top of it, and I'm like, why is it sustainable? And he says, oh, the buttons are recycled, and you're actually just like, what about the rest of it? Do you know what I mean? Where it's, and that's the thing is, it's just like, just do the right stuff. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it's just like, I had a daughter, 18 months ago, and it's actually just like, I want to build something that she can look at and be proud of.
Yeah.
Not something that, because at the end of the day, it's just like, the world's going to look totally different in 20 years.
Oh, aye.
Do you know what I mean? And it's actually just like, do I want to be part of the problem? Because that's where it's just like, fashion's a huge, it's chucked in there as one of the top things for, basically climate change. And I think that's why maybe people are looking at going, right, okay, I like to buy clothes, but maybe if I buy better quality stuff, it's going to last me longer as well.
Yep.
Where it's, people say it's cost per wear. How much did that cost you every single time you wore it?
Yep.
A good pair of boots, and that's where it's, let's say, just like you can spend £300-400 on a good pair of boots, right? You can buy a pair of boots for £80. How many wears are you getting out of the pair of boots? And how many wears are you getting out of that good pair of boots? Yep. But and that's where it's just like, when I talk about conscious consumers, and it's the whole kind of, vegan, vegetarian thing, it's just like you've got the people the other end of the spectrum, where you get people that are always going to not give a shit where their clothes are made. Yep. They're not going to care, right? That's fine. Leave them.
They're only away 2 weeks, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's where that's fine. And it's just like, but then it's just like, it's just trying to communicate better to that kind of broader range of people that I think are slowly but surely waking up to the fact that basically, and that's the thing is, it's literally just like, there's hypocrisy everywhere. Yeah. There's no way of not being a hypocrite. That's why you need to be careful about what you say. Yeah. But I think it's, instead of just trying to get everybody to do everything, it's trying to get this big majority of people to do a little bit.
Yeah.
If they all do a little bit, that's what makes a difference. Not your 5% at the top that are looking to come by. You know what I mean? It's just like getting the majority of people. And that's where it's just like, I think where us as a brand is good from that point, because I think we are a commercial brand, and I do think we appeal to a broad spectrum of guys, and a broad 100%. Spectrum of ages as well, where we've got young guys that come in that want to buy a Yarrow t-shirt, 18 years old, because, their grandpa worked there. And at the exact same time, we've had 80-year-old women come in and buy John Brown t-shirts because she used to work there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. She wears it to her dance class because that's something she's really, really proud of. And it's just like, it's lovely. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's really, really nice. And that's what the thing is. And it's making that brand that communicates to everybody at an age group. And, we're not trailblazers of fashion. Do you know what I mean? But it's just making good stuff that's going to last. Yeah. Yeah, it's doing the few things well, because you don't have a massive range. But everything that's in that range is done exactly as you want to do it, doesn't it? Yeah. So with you having the bricks and mortar shop, presumably you get, obviously you speak to people like the lady that wanted to wear to a dance class. It's like you get more direct customer feedback. Yeah. How do you find that then helps influence design? Do you think you'd still get the same if you were doing it all online, or does that play a big part in your decisions? Definitely within the store. I think when it comes to the logo tees, you just get so many people coming in like, when are you doing this? When are you doing Scots? Or when are you doing Bartley Curl? Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing is, it's just like so many people just come in here and just talk to you for an hour and want to talk about their experiences in the shipyards and stuff, which is great. Nice. And you get so many people coming in and showing pictures of the old bits of, workwear that they used to wear and stuff like that as well. So and that's what it's this constant churning kind of, and this is where it's just like, for me, it's just like there's no ego with me. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I've came from some design school and it's just like, this is how it's going to be. Yeah. This is my vision. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because 6 years ago I was working in a bloody restaurant. There was no vision. Do you know what I mean? We're just here, and it's just like you just learn from other people, and that's why it's just like I can't sit here and say that I design all the clothing. It's just like I think, see if you can get a bunch of talented people working together, that's when good stuff happens. Oh yeah. Aye. Do you know? And that's where it's just like and that's where it's just like, even when I give design briefs to people, it's just like, I want that and I want that, and I was just like, but do what you want. Do you know what I mean?
If you have ideas, give them to me as
give them to me as well. Do you know what I mean? Because, and that's where it's just like, that's why, I don't know, that things seem to be working all right. So, and that's where it's probably not having that ego necessarily, that, it's just like, this is how I think things should be. It's just like, this is how they've just turned out, really.
But it's nice to see you supporting other small businesses as you do in your shop. Like, you've got loads of, like, ceramics, and you've got our magazine, and you've got bags that have been handmade. But
yeah, we did that from the start, really. So it's just like, do like wallet brands, bag brands, and most people, like candles as well. It's just like most people that get in touch with us, if it fits in with the store, I'm actually just like, yeah, that's fine. What we do with like a lot of the kind of local brands and stuff like that, the wallets and stuff like that, these people can't afford to wholesale, you know. So what we'll do is we'll just say, listen, pop the stuff in the shop, and we'll just take a wee commission of what you sell. So it's better for them.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So, but then there's that flip side of that as well, where it's literally just like they're going to do what they can to push people to you because they're getting a better deal.
Yeah, because it's somebody else that's getting, especially a lot of the makers that can't afford or can't set up a bricks and mortar shop at the moment. If they can be like, oh, we'll go to Finnieston and see my wallets that are in there, and then they'll pick up a wallet and then maybe pick up a shirt as well. You know, it's that sort of circular economy, isn't it? Like everyone helps each other out.
Yeah. I do think within Glasgow that kind of creative community is so supportive. Like that's where it's literally just like, see, when it comes to Christmas time and people ask me what I want for my Christmas, it's actually just like, I just think about who locally can benefit from that. You know, stuff that I want. So, and I think that's what happens here. It's just this kind of, everybody kind of is pretty supportive and wants everybody to do well. And
that's the way it should be.
And it's even like with people come and ask me for like any kind of like contacts or advice or anything like that. I'm just like, I have all my contacts. I don't care.
It is.
Yeah, there it is. Do you know what I mean?
You're
it's
not
like,
a competition.
No. If the basis of me being a success or not is whether I give out that information, it shouldn't be do you know what I mean? That's not going to be the reason if I make this a success or not.
No.
Do you know what I mean? That's on my own back.
Really
do you know what I mean? So it's actually just like, do you know what I mean? Just like if you do well, do you know what I mean? If as an example, you know, if I've helped that person out and they end up as a bigger brand than me, and it's just like, he's a hand.
Send somebody my way.
Mind that time, mate.
Mind that time I scratched your back. That's it.
How you got 100,000 followers on Instagram? Like, it's
do me a shout out or something.
Yeah, he's a mention.
That's exactly it. So you mentioned Instagram there. That's your main platform, eh?
Instagram and Facebook, I would say.
Right, okay.
You know, and as much as I hate it, I think any business owner would say it's a necessary evil. Do you know? And it's literally just like, and the downside to that as well is you're always plugged into it. It's really, really hard to not be constant. You know, if you're getting notifications at night and it's literally just you see somebody sent you a message and you're literally just like, you can see my partner's like, don't you fucking dare. Do you know what I mean?
I've ended up...
It might be somebody wanting to buy something, do you know what I mean? And it's literally, it might be really, really important, do you know what I mean? And
they'll still be there in the morning, though.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll still be there in the morning.
I've started a 9 until 9 rule where I put my internet off at 9 o'clock at night.
Nice.
And I don't put it back on until 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So that's my kind of thing where it's just like, that's my kind of digital detox time where nothing important.
Internet's going off the night at night.
I just put my phone on not disturb now.
Do you? Aye.
Well, I have recently because I've been not getting sleep and I'm like, I really need to put my phone down because it's just, you know, the light shines up at your bedside. You're like, oh, what's happening now?
Oh, and that's what the thing is as well. It's just because now you have an online store and it's like you've got the Shopify app on your phone and it's literally just like you can
or something.
That notification came off as soon as I got it because it's like the silence is just as bad as the noise going off. Do you know what I mean?
The silence between it. Yeah. Why haven't I had the ka-ching in a minute?
Yeah. It's been 2 days. You're on holiday, sitting looking at your phone.
Mate, the buzz you get off it is a fraction of the downtime between it and the slump you end up in, innit? Like you get a buzz off it and everyone's like, I get a right buzz when I get a sale. It's like, but then you get 3 or 4 sales in a row and then nothing for a couple of days and you're just like flattened. Absolutely flattened.
Yeah. And I think that's probably my main struggle now as a business where it's literally just like you've been doing this brand that's kind of been keeping you up at night for so long, right? And it's been so hard to get to this point where there's the stress of that, right? And then there is now this stage where things are starting to actually go all right and you think, well, you can relax now. No, it's like the opposite to that because now it's the adrenaline. Where, you know, you're starting to, if you have a good week, you know, it's like, yes. And then all of a sudden it's just like, you could have like 2 bad days and you're thinking, what the fuck have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Like,
you're adamant it's something you've done.
That's so true.
Adamant it's something
you've done. And
everyone feels the same.
Yeah.
It's so
and
true.
it's you can, as I said, you can have two bad days, and it's literally like as an example, Monday this week, right? We had probably the best Monday we've ever had, right? Online and in store, right? Brilliant. Okay. Tuesday was one of the worst days we've ever had.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? It's so cruel.
Yeah,
Do you know? And that's where today was a bit better, but it's still like, you know, but then tomorrow it's literally just like...
It's not good for your mental health, is it?
Nah.
It's like, yes! And then, and it's hard to get back off.
I think it's disassociation, I think, what you need to try and do, where, I don't know if it gets better or easier or not, or you just end up just going mental or become an alky.
One of the two. I either turn to the bottle or you just lose it completely.
Yeah.
It's a coping mechanism at that point. So what's the... how do you... So it's obviously very easy for all of us that are online, and it's like, we never got followers today, we never made sales. But what about when you're sat in a store all day and nobody turns up? How do you cope with that? Or are you always busy enough?
Nah, I mean, I must admit, like, see, after, because like was it the first, the second, or the third lockdown? That one from like kind of, we got this shop open 12 days before Christmas, right? And then got shut for 4 months. Then got shut for 4 months, right? And then opening up, you know, you got open that 12 days before Christmas. You think, this is brilliant. Do you know what I mean? This shop's, I've unearthed a gem here.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be like that all the time. Everybody was so nice. And then you open up in, like, you know, April, May, which in retail's no man's land as it is. It's not It's not winter. It's no summer either. And then, but the thing is, we didn't, I was quite lucky in the way that I held off on doing a spring summer buy for other brands that we're doing here. So I had no spring summer stock coming from other brands. And I had all my winter stuff still in here because I got shut 4 days before Christmas. And we didn't, and stupidly, I look back now and I was like, oh, I should have spent so much money online, but I didn't. I didn't have that belief, but I think then was the time. I think that was the golden time where people were doing really well online, but I was actually just like, I wasn't sure, you know.
Yep. And hey, it's a risk. It's a risk with no statistics to back it up.
Opening up here then, we maybe had a week of when it was good, right? And then it just went... Like, and that's where it's just like, if you've not got the stock, you know, people aren't going to come in and go, I will give them a wee leg up. You know what I mean? It's
you open in April, May, and everyone's like, I'll give them a wee leg up. Big heavy jacket, one of them. I'll do for next year. But I'll give them a leg up now. Nobody's doing that.
That it's that stress of doing something new and having to learn that. But then there's that stress of just like nobody coming in through the doors, or, you know, I think we had a day where we took like 50 quid. Do you know what I mean? And it's literally just like, you literally just go, whoa. And it's very hard to go home and just go, well, you know what?
That There's always tomorrow.
That day's done. And literally at that moment in time as well, I must have had maybe about a month-year-old child. So you're dealing with that as well. So you've literally got 2 petulant children, right? No, I'm not saying she was a petulant child, but like...
The business was.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're essentially got 2 kids that you're trying to nurture.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Neither of them which you're qualified to do.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Both of them are steep learning curves.
Yep.
I will say that. So that was really hard, I must admit. But then, you know, it was just getting through that period of... The thing is, I know because of CCW, the West End during that time's not a busy time either.
Right.
You know, it's not... This
so
place...
kind of knew to expect it, but...
Didn't think it'd be that bad. So, but then, as I since, you know, got through Christmas and stuff like that, which was great. You know, absolutely a really good winter, even though stuff turned up all over the place.
Yep. You had that weird like, late delivery.
Yeah, our parkas and vests turned up in February, I think. And that's where it's just like, you know, you've got these beautiful garments turn up, which are really nice garments, which were insulated with Lavaland sheep's wool as well. Yep. So it was just like really, really expensive materials, you know, really expensive pieces. Yeah. But you're literally just like, I can't actually put any decent marketing budget behind this, do you know? But at the same time, I need to go out and do a nice photo shoot for them, pay for that, and then there's a double whammy of it not selling as much as you should be because it's at the wrong time of the year. Yeah. So
nobody's looking for a super nice parka in late February.
No,
because they're looking to gear up for holiday kit. For
I could
June.
do it with dropping 10 degrees just now. Nobody's looking for one now either.
I need a cold snap. In case like, it looks like it's going to be a great. I'll be reminding you now, and you're like, it looks like it's going to be a great week this week. Think about Ross at Finnieston.
Yeah. I'm only joking. I sold loads today.
Wait, that's it. And it's so I was going to say you've now had 2 years running the store, but we've been in and out of lockdown the whole time and all the rest of it. So are you getting a gauge on where things should be between your CCW experience and between, is anything looking like it's predictable at the minute, or is it still all over the place?
It's still all over the place. And even from the point of view of days in the shop, like, and it's literally just like, you know, because standard retail, you know, a few years ago, it was actually just like weekdays, you maybe get the odd good day, you know, it was tick over. The weekends, we are boom time. And now it's weird because it's literally just like, especially around here, because so many people are now working from home, it's literally just like, we're starting to realise that Thursday's a really good day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Thursday's a really good day. And I've kind of, you sit there and you pickle your head. You're literally just like, why is Thursday a good day now? And I think it's because people are working from home. I think it's their new Friday.
Really?
I think people are.
I
think people are snaking away early on a Friday when they're working from home and actually going away for long weekends, because Thursdays are always a good day.
No, I didn't agree with that. I'm definitely not doing that on a Friday when I'm working from home. Definitely not.
Tuesdays are notoriously the worst. We call them suicide Tuesdays.
Right.
That's what Mondays are always pretty good because there's maybe people around from the weekend, you know, long weekend people, you know. But Tuesdays always seem to just be not every week, but like if there's going to be a day that's a stinker, it's a Tuesday.
An admin day,
Yeah.
Be positive spin.
It's
That's
not
an
admin day when you've got people working here running the shop for you.
I know.
It's a stressful day. You're sitting working from home and you're like, I'm paying people.
Nobody's coming through the door. Expenses are still going. Heating's still coming out. Lights are still on.
Yeah. Prices of heating's going up as well. So it's Aye.
But you love it though.
Well, I do. And that's where it's just like seeing things that, you know, that's where it's just like, you know, like the Dazzle camouflage short sleeve shirts that we did, like, and I'm sitting there going to my mum and dad, I'm like, doing these. And she's just like, they'll no sell. Do you know what I mean?
Typical parent thing.
Yeah. And you're literally just like, it's really nice to see things that you have really, it came from your own mind.
Aye.
Do you know? And that it's worked.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where it's just like, I think as an entrepreneur or a business person, creator, maker, I think once you get those small wins, I think it just gives you more confidence.
Aye.
Yeah, more drive to be like, yeah, this is good.
The imposter syndrome never goes, but I think it just helps you maybe go like, maybe I might actually know what I'm doing. Maybe.
Just for that like 12-hour stint when you're on a high and then you immediately crash back down when you wake up the next day. Aye, I know that exact feeling. So do you think if it wasn't with the CCW background, do you think you'd have always still run your own business? Would it have always still been in the sort of fashion space?
No idea, mate.
Really?
Honestly, yeah, I have got no idea. I don't. This is me being totally honest with you, right? I have got no idea how I ended up here.
That's brilliant, man.
Do you know what I mean? It's literally just like I have no idea.
But it shows that hard work pays off.
Yeah.
For somebody who's thinking, oh, I quite like fancy doing that, it's like, it's possible.
I think what it does show is that, listen, if you really want to do something, and this is what I believe, like, if you want to do something, regardless of your experience or not, if you really want to do it, you'll do it. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it's literally just like, if you want to do it, you'll do it. And
it's good advice.
Yeah, just expect to have some
ride the waves.
Yeah, absolutely. Just expect it. Well, you can't expect it. You never know. But the thing is, it's just like all like, and this is where it's just like, I could sit here and talk to you guys for about 5 hours about all the bad shit that's happened. Do you know what I mean? But like, which was with like stuff that's going wrong. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff in between there, like with stuff that's going wrong. But like, you kind of look back at it now and you're like, I kind of wouldn't change it. Do you know? Where absolutely. It's literally you're kind of at a stage where you're literally just like, kind of glad that's happened because, you know, I've do it again. But also the fact that it's just like probably, and you as business people as well, any creator maker over this last 3 years has probably had to leap through more hurdles, do more things than anybody's ever had to do in a long time. You know, since the Second World War, where it's, you know, it's probably taught you a lot.
Oh, aye. I remember that first Christmas we had, like we were saying earlier, that actually turned out to be really good for online sales. And I don't know what we done. If anyone can work it out, tell me what to do this time at Christmas. But whatever we done, the small ad spends seemed to be hitting the mark, didn't they? And then increased it a wee bit the next day. And we were getting up to like a good few £100 a day ad spend, but it was always returning 3- and 4-fold. And I was like, we've made it. We've made it, Kate. This is us. I'll get into December and that's me. I'm leaving film. I'm leaving the full-time job. We've made it.
So we can go We Are Makers full time.
The dream's always to go We Are Makers full time. I've obviously still working full time in my job. Kate's We Are Makers full time. We've made it. So sure enough, March comes round. We're ordering the next print run. You'd spent ages working on it. I'm like, add an extra couple of thousand on it. We'll not quite double it, but add an extra couple of thousand on it. Half of them are still sat in a warehouse, man. They're like, it was only till we done the sale that we managed to start getting through them, and that was just a massive like. All right, okay. Yeah. It is more volatile than you think. That was like
cost, like
sit down, Jack. It's not as easy as that.
Yeah.
So, and that was our big mistake.
Pricing things is hard work as well. I don't know how you do it.
What pricing things are?
Just like working out exactly what that product should be, because there's that it's too expensive or it's too cheap, or like I find that quite difficult.
You get it's interesting though, like, and that's where customers are quite good as well, because you get a gauge from people, and like, you know, don't get me wrong, people walk in here and go like, you guys are really expensive, I'm not shopping here. But people that walk around here probably and go, it's not expensive enough. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people, you know, it's but it's good to have a gauge from customers that will go, listen, your stuff's really reasonably priced, and that's the general consensus that we get. And I think it's hard to get that message across online, because you come in here and you touch stuff, and you feel stuff, and that's where for us this year it was actually just like we brought out our Barclay Curl t-shirt, which is a heavier weight t-shirt, right? And I was actually just like, it's more expensive, look. And I was just like, you know, like, do we leave it at 40? And it's actually just like. But why? It's a better product. We need to put it up to £45, you know, and let's say just like it's been our best selling t-shirt because in store. Because people have come in and touched it and bought it, and now people are asking, when you doing more stuff at that weight? Right. Where, but that's where it's just like, for us as a brand, since we launched in 2020, we've not changed our prices of the t-shirts. They're £40 since we launched. Our beanies and stuff like that are still the same, and that's where it's actually just like, eventually our prices probably are going to have to go up, you know, and that's, it's not a charity, but it's, as I said, it's trying to find that middle ground where we're maybe cheaper than some of our competitors because we're not wholesaling. But then it's, the reason you've done this is to have a bit of a better margin than selling other people's brands.
Absolutely.
That's the whole reason you've done it. So,
you could set up just a retail space and just sell other people's stuff and make a little bit on everything. But that's not really what you're about, is it? You're doing something that's you, that's got your story, and then it's going to make. And they bits should be making you a bit more because you've put the time and effort into sourcing everything. Yeah. So it's you've gone out there to try and cut out the middleman essentially. So it is so, but you're still not charging things at the same price as everybody else. You've brought that price down. Yeah. So where does pricing come into your flow there? Are you sort of unapologetically designing what you want first and then finding a price for it? Or do you have to kind of be aware of the slots that it fits in?
I think generally it's just trying to look at the industry and see what other people are selling things for as well. But I mean, the thing is with me, it's just like, I know a rough markup that I want to get on pretty much everything. Right. You know, that's kind of where I go at. You know, I work out basically what I want on things. There'll be certain items I maybe don't get that, you know, but then there'll be maybe items that I'll maybe go, I can maybe a wee bit more at the other end of that, you know. So certainly when it comes to kind of outerwear, you know, like jackets and stuff like that, that's a lot harder to get that kind of margin that you want on things. Well, you can, but it just means like things become very expensive, you know. Because as I said, like, you know, I'm in a fortunate position where I can maybe, you know, undercut other brands, but I'm also at the other end of the spectrum where I'm ordering not as much quantities as them, so I'm not getting as good a price. So I'm still everything for me is still more expensive. Or for example, if there's certain materials that I'm doing where I'll maybe accept surcharges on because I'm not ordering what they'd want me to order, so I'll accept a surcharge on a material. You know, because you're not, when you say not ordering what they want, not ordering the quantities. The quantity, they'll say, listen, our minimum order quantity on this material is this, and I was actually just like, can I have that? And you're like, yeah, but we're going to put a 12% surcharge on that. And it's actually just like, I think when it comes to using new materials, you need to kind of wait and see how they live and breathe in a garment before you really go all in with it. So otherwise, you just end up with a real material doing nothing. So it's just try to be as careful as possible and just trying to work out where to put your chips, really.
It makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. So what does Finnieston look like for the quantities you're doing now? Is that something you want to grow the quantities, or would you keep the quantities the same and introduce new lines?
I think what we've done really well over the last year is into bringing some really good core pieces.
Yeah.
You know, the likes of the Anderston shirt that we're doing,
Yep.
the Yardley jacket, Lint House jackets, our T-shirts and stuff like that. That's our base now, you know, and that's where it's just like, I'll you know, for example, you know, getting to understand how much I can sell. And obviously, like, but next year, as I said, I'm probably going to try and really push online, which means I'm going to sell more online.
Yeah.
I need to have the stock there to actually sell stuff. So, I want to obviously get to that point where factories are taking you a bit more serious. I think that's the thing where I'm still at this stage just now with the quantities that I'm ordering, where there's people ordering a lot more than me. They're going to get a priority. And I think once you have that bit more buying power, you know, but I think, you know, this is where it's just like, I think, how successful do you want to be? Because it's literally, if you're at a stage where you're making tens of thousands of pieces and you're literally just like, how sustainable are you? Do you know, where I think there's definitely, where I want to get to like a limit on that, where, you know, we're happy with that. And what we want to do is, you know, keep producing our core products, you know, all the stuff that we're doing just now, but then through the course of the year, just injecting special ranges or collaborations,
which would maybe be your Parker jackets or your limited runs.
So we're like, for example, next year, kept this for your podcast, by the way. It's a good story.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Left it to the end as well, so if there's anybody still here, they get a present. As an example, like, you know, as I said, that direct-to-consumer brand, you're literally just like, okay, what's the story? How is it we can go, right, okay, we do this beautiful video, beautiful photography, and then put lots of money behind that in order to have some sales. So, as I was saying, last winter, we did the vest and the parka that were insulated with Lavaland sheep's wool, which is a German company. Since then, I've found a UK company, heyday wool, who basically do the exact same job, but a British company. Nice. I was literally just like, I didn't know you were there. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I wouldn't have used a German company, as great as they've been. Do you know what I mean? Fantastic to deal with. And one of the reasons I want to use British wool is because my grandpa is a farmer. He's 91 and he's got a farm in Eaglesham.
All right.
So he's still lambing, he's got cows and stuff like that.
Good on him.
And literally last week I watched him calve a cow. He's 91 years old. At 91.
Man.
My mum was literally just like sitting there like that. My mum was literally, just keep an eye on him. And I'm like, what's he doing, man? He should be kept in a glass box. Not out there doing that, man. Hey, guy's a relic. Like,
a museum piece. Delivering a calf.
But he's out there like running a farm every day, scooting about in a quad, do you know what I mean? Doing all that kind of stuff. Like, so what we've came to the realization is now is that I've been speaking to this company, heyday wool, and what we're doing is we're actually going to use my own grandpa's wool.
Nice.
So that's what we're going to do for next year, is to do a limited run of jackets that are insulated with my own grandpa's wool.
So it'll be his wool, they'll deal with it.
What?
It'll be his wool and then they'll process it and deal with
it. And the plus side of that as well is because he would just take his wool to the wool board for his wool, and basically they just say, right, this is the price that you get for your wool. Aye. I've gone through the company Wool Keepers, who basically work with HD wool. And basically, because of what dealing with this company, what they do is they make sure farmers get paid fairly for their wool. So he's got double what he would get for his wool normally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
As big a difference as that?
Yeah, Jesus so he's Christ. Got double, which is like another... a win-win. So literally 3 weeks ago, I went with my Uncle Alan, because my whole family, I've got a farm just look over the top of Glasgow, where my grandpa lives, my Uncle Alan lives, my Uncle John lives, my Uncle Gavin's got a farm up the road as well. Aye. So it's actually just like one dysfunctional farm.
One load of arguing neighbours over farmland and whose fence is whose.
Aye. So, but then, me and my Uncle Alan drove all like a ton of wool out to Finnieston in Perthshire, like driving through the middle of nowhere, like, how have I ended up here? How, try to find this guy to drop some wool off, like it was like a drug deal. Do you know what I mean?
How have I ended up going for a waiter working in a restaurant to wearing all my own garments that I've been out to watch get manufactured, dropping off wool in the middle of nowhere in Perthshire?
Aye,
that's
pretty
a
much,
journey.
Yeah.
That's brilliant,
I
man.
should have had a Netflix documentary or something like that. So we're doing that, and the plan with that as well is the outer material will be made from Harley Stevenson in Dundee.
Nice.
And we're going to get them made in Scotland as well.
Brilliant.
So the full kind of package.
That'll be quite the thing.
So that's what we're doing. I think we'll try and do a kind of pre-order campaign on that.
Yeah.
You know, something like that where people need to book their wool wear. And as far as I'm concerned, there's not another clothing company that's actually put Scottish wool in an insulation and a jacket ever. So we'll be the first people to do that. So,
brilliant, man.
And
what sort of numbers will that look like?
What, quantity-wise?
Do you know yet?
I can't say that
because
I need the general consumer to think there's like 10 of them.
So just say 10. Just say 10 now. There's only 10 of them.
10, and then one's going to Uncle Alan, one's going to Uncle Gavin. My grandpa's having one. So what I'm looking to do with them is do a vest and a kind of a work jacket.
Oh, wicked.
So which will be insulated with the wool. So
nice.
I'm doing that for that. So and try and obviously sampling, we'll get that done, and then obviously try and do some kind of a pre-order thing. Brilliant. Kind of the start maybe middle of next year.
Brilliant,
man. For a winter delivery.
Right.
So
middle of next year, pre-orders live,
yep.
couple months, winter delivery. Brilliant.
Yeah. So
I'm right into winter. Flash new jacket.
So
the north of Glasgow. Yeah. It was running about on a field 6 months prior. Brilliant, man.
So
that's wicked.
So it's hope. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't happen now.
Good.
I've said it now.
It has to happen.
You were probably like swithering, talking to Luke before this, like, I was thinking about doing these jackets. You've said it now, so it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
You need to phone Uncle Alan on the way home.
Yeah.
We need the wool now. I've said it. And what other sort of stuff are you looking at outside that? So we've got the... Seems like you're pretty happy with the core range now.
Yep.
And then the winter, are you looking at any sort of summer limited edition stuff?
We did a collaboration with Clydebuilt Football Club.
That was cool.
Probably like it was like a couple of months ago.
Aye.
Where we did a limited edition retro football top, which was inspired by one of their 89 kits.
Nice.
So which pretty much sold out within about 12 hours.
Need to do more then.
Really?
So just like honestly, like I think see since like, and this is where it's just like you guys will be the exact same. It's just like any time I've ever launched, whether it's a shirt, a jacket, or anything like that, you get so wrapped up in it, right? You think it's going to fly, right? But in your head it is.
Right. Because it's the best thing
ever. You're always like, get to that point where you're literally just like, you look at the sales next day and you're like, you know what I mean? It just never ever. It doesn't. Because at the end of the day, it's just like, well, you've not spent any money on marketing. You know what I mean? What do you expect? But that was the one time where it's literally just like I looked at my phone the next day and I was literally just like, because I just switched my phone off and I was literally I was expecting something from it, but not like that. Where it was.
Collaborating with other people sometimes helps.
What?
Collaboration with other companies.
It adds another level to that story, doesn't it?
I think we're really fortunate from the point of view of Clydebuilt have got a really large fan base. They used to be a much bigger club than they were. And basically what ended up happening was a few bad business decisions and their club got liquidated and got turned into Airdrie United.
All right.
But then all the old Clydebuilt fans are literally just like, well, we're not Airdrie fans, we want to be. So basically the fans started up Clydebuilt again.
That's good.
Right, okay.
So they're moving up through kind of like junior football levels. So from that point of view, they're not a big club, but they've got this huge fan base, which, we always wanted to do a collab with them because of the industrial heritage of there and a lot of the kind of inspiration we take from Clydebuilt as well.
Because it would have been an old like shipbuilders football team, wouldn't
it? Yeah. Essentially, that's what it was started by. So it was like workers from the Singer factory, I think. Nice. Basically, so there is that. A nice cohesion with that. So I think next summer we're looking to maybe do like a wee kind of range of them. Nice. They've got some absolute belter old like football tops, which we'll do something like that on.
Cool.
The knitwear factory that I use in Stuart, and I've got a really nice felted wool, which is almost like a boiled wool.
Yeah.
Which is on our knitwear, like you can see like the pocket. There's like on the knitwear that we've done, I've got like almost like it's like a felted pocket, which is basically just like a natural fleece.
Right.
And the only place in Scotland, and basically what they're saying is, listen, Scotland's the only place you can do this because of the hardness of the water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Because we're double tough.
Yeah, exactly. We're mental. So we're looking to maybe do a bit more stuff with them as well. We've got new jackets that are coming out. New, as I said, the introduction to ladies. That's a big thing as well. So
can't wait.
Doing some ladies tees, sweats, leg wear, and a jacket. So
leg wear as well.
Yeah, leg wear as well.
Nice.
So, and a wax cotton bikinis. Doing as well.
Why not?
Yeah.
Hard wool bikinis for a Greece trip next year. Wait, that's wicked. So, moving into the women's wear, you got that whole line there. So that's a whole new thing for you. You've never done that before. Did you do any of that when you were at CCW?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I originally did do a ladies line.
Right.
So, but it will look very different to that.
Aye.
So, but the interesting thing is that a lot of the jackets that we've done, like the Canadian shawl Parker, you can see that we've got a wee bit left over, and that green collarless jacket. When we did our first season on them, I actually did a ladies wear shoot with them, and they sold really well.
Right.
You know, that's where like all the smalls sold out really, really quickly because ladies were coming in and buying them. So
but that wasn't a lady specific fit, was it? It was just a small one.
Basically, I worked with like a Scottish supermodel and did it like so.
If it's on a supermodel, you know, we'll buy it. Looks good.
So did that, but looking to definitely, you know. As I said, it was always something that we wanted to do. And we honestly get so many women asking us when he's doing women's, and I think next year.
Now's the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm going out to Portugal next week to hand over tech packs for the women's stuff.
Brilliant.
And to do some material selections.
Ace.
On stuff. So
you still go and do all that in person, don't you?
Yeah.
Fly out there, take that all over,
yeah.
and have actual hands-on conversations with people.
Which is really important. So you have control over what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then do you do visits and stuff as it's been made, or is that what the samples
it's just been so hard over the last few years.
That's why
it's another cost. It's another cost, you know. It's getting over there, paying for your hotel and stuff like that. And I'm fortunate the agent I have over there, she's kind of been with me since the start, and I think she cares. Do you know what I mean? We built up a relationship, so she goes and kind of QCs things for me, just make sure everything's okay. Brilliant. But
that makes a big difference, having someone over there you can trust, because that reduces your cost of going out there.
Do you know what's great as well? It's same time as here.
Are they?
Yeah, exact same time.
Oh well.
Oh, sure enough, because it's vertical for.
Mm-hmm.
There you are.
So and it gets to that point now where we're starting to know the factories over there, and you know, starting to build relationships up with people and stuff like that, which it's all about, really.
Aye.
You know, so.
The products speak for that, don't they?
Yeah,
the products will only get better if the relationship's better.
Yeah, just don't be a dick.
Aye. that's the reality of it. Put a little bit of good out in the world, and it might come back.
Yeah. I like that guy. I don't want to shit on him. So,
Mate, that's exactly what it's about, though, isn't it? It's like we're really lucky in the makers that we speak to. Like, I can't think of a bad one. Like, they've all been wicked, do you know? And it's been really nice to be out and doing the podcast, because you're like, all these guys would happily help each other out. They're all there to sort of do a bit for each other, And it's been kind of nice to be part of that circle.
It's because people are doing something that they love. They're doing something that they like, and they feel passionate about it. And it's
small
just
business
like
love.
And I think if you see other people doing that, it's actually just like you just want them to succeed, really.
Aye.
You know, if you're in a situation where you don't want other people to succeed, it means you're not really happy yourself. So there's shit that you need to address.
Yep.
So.
It's not the other person, by the way. Look inward first.
More self-help stuff there.
That's it. There you are. Been reading a few books. So one thing that's always kind of I've wondered about the clothing brands, how do you get your size in? Like when you're doing that order, is it purely just a guess, or are you getting to a point where you can kind of work out sales and sizing, or are you just going like a third small, third medium, third large?
Genuinely, we're more into the kind of mediums and larges, so it is, it's general. But the thing is, it's what we always found, in our t-shirts, mediums are always things that sells out first.
Aye.
Do you know? And I don't know. I've not seen them.
Aye.
Maybe somebody's stealing them. But mediums. But then, as I said, I don't know. It depends on the piece. Or sometimes there can be extra larges that sell out first as well. So, but generally, there's generally like a ratio that I work to. So it is where it's it's I would say maybe like smalls and extra larges are probably got the same quantities roughly.
Right.
So it is, and then mediums and larges are roughly the same quantity, even more, and then double XLs is maybe not as much. We do up to 3XL and all of our kind of jersey and stuff like that. Which we had so many people asking for, when you're doing 3XL, when you're doing 3XL, and we've done 3XL now, nobody buys it.
Nice.
That's typical.
Aye.
So I'm always like, all these t-shirts are sitting down here in their my wee sale pile. They're all 3XLs. So if anybody wants to come into the shop over the next few days, I'll give you them for a tenner. Right? I'm wanting short of them. I will always do 3XLs, but then it's just that learning curve of going, right, okay, just not doing as many. Do you know? And that's where it's like you'll always have, like, just put more into mediums and larges. Always have that offering there, you know, because we're an inclusive brand, you know. Aye. So and that's kind of how we work from a sizing point of view. Aye.
So. And then, so we're in your store now, and it's obviously one half everything's bought in brands. One half. Is that a world where you want it all to be Finnieston, or would you always still do complementary brands?
I don't know. Like the likes of footwear, I don't necessarily want to get into footwear.
I can imagine that's difficult.
Yeah. I don't want to get into footwear. There's certain things, I don't know. As I said, it just.
I'm sure someone asked you on your Instagram today about denim. You're like, I'll leave that to the.
But then the designer that I've spoke to is literally just like, nah, that's not the case. Do you know what I mean? I've got really good relationships with, some, like London-made denim makers. He was like, she said, we can do a small run of denim. If you want to do it, then all of a sudden you start doing denim, and then it's literally just like,
it's like, where do you stop?
Yeah,
like where do you focus on?
That's what the thing is as well, is it's like, you can end up doing too much stuff and it just gets diluted.
Yes, absolutely,
And that's where, for me, like, the only issue that I have in here is space. There's not a lot of space. So, and as I do want to, the likes of, like, all this space here and here for gents, I think that's enough.
Oh, aye.
Do you don't need to have any more stuff. So, and then, maybe some ladies sitting here, and then, some other gent stuff over the other side. The likes of Stutterheim jackets that we do, which are like, the PU kind of polyurethane coats. Do you know what I mean? I'm not doing that.
No.
You know what I mean? It's, and that's where it's just like, because I came from the world of CCW, where it's just like we sell so many waterproof jackets. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of outdoor company where it's actually everything needs to be waterproof, everything needs to be insulated, everything needs to be breathable. But the thing is, like, if you want to get a really good technical jacket at a good price to sell, you need to go to China to get it. It's there's the larger quantities.
So there's not the manufacturing.
No, there is. I think there is manufacturing in Europe where you can get technical jackets made. That's me not saying that, but I'm just saying you need to order a lot larger quantities. To make it worthwhile. It's just extremely expensive for a small brand to do. But at the same time, it's literally just like, I don't know. It's literally just like there are so many brands out there that are literally going, we are the premium waterproof, like performance-based stuff, and you're literally just like, I don't really want to get into that. Where it's actually just like, stick to stuff that you want to do, that's good at, it's comfortable, everyday wear. It's trans-seasonal as well, and that's where the beauty of it, even though if stuff has been turning up all over the place and not necessarily at the right time, albeit we'll leave the parkas and the vest to one side, but everything else just sells all year round. And it's trying to find those kind of those pieces that are pretty trans-seasonal and doing that. So, but I do think that we will be we would love to have a larger premises eventually.
Yep.
So I think maybe some kind of destination retail, where it's not, because it's somewhere that's maybe a bit bigger, where you could have a really nice kind of large shop, a nice restaurant, like a cafe, and then maybe a small factory there, where you're maybe you've got some some in-house made clothing, like some jackets and stuff like that as well, where
I like your vision.
Where that becomes almost like, because this is where it's just like, if you look at garden centres at the moment, they're always rammed.
Yeah.
Man.
Like,
I always do good cakes, good coffee.
Aye.
I've no idea if the plants are good, but you get good.
But the thing is, you go to these places and they're always rammed, right? And I call them time vampires. Do you know what I mean? Because people like to go there to burn a few hours. Yeah. You know what I mean? You've got the day off, you've got the kid, let's go out there. Do you know what I mean? Creating something like that in Glasgow, or the peripheries of Glasgow, that you have that kind of, not like a house of brewer, but like, something that's just that, a destination that people can go to. You've maybe got some offices, and maybe there's spaces there for maybe smaller independents to maybe have pop-ups, you know, where it's all about trying to bring how you get more people to this place and doing things like that, or a space for a market on a Saturday and stuff like that. So, but still continuing what we're doing with the other brands, Finnieston Clothing, and then maybe giving local people more space to do what they want as well, because that's still important to us.
I think that's quite interesting, isn't it? Especially and it's quite important for retail space in general. Like you look at Princess Street, other than crap tourist shops, it's a ghost town, isn't it? Like if you extracted all the crap tourist shops, there's not much there. You been to Ocean Terminal lately?
No.
Just knock it down.
Yeah.
Just knock it down.
When was the last time you were there?
What, Ocean Terminal? I don't know. It might even be knocked down by now. Honestly, it's like it's just empty, man.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely empty. But if you've got somewhere that's as you say, a destination, like let's nip down to Finnieston, we can get our lunch there.
Yeah.
You subsequently are going to have a look around the shop and probably pick something up. But you can also go and see manufacturing happening there. It's making that link between stuff being made and stuff on the shelf.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the majority of people, and it's something we're really trying hard to do, is bridge the consumer to maker thing. Because I think most folk just didn't get it.
No.
Just do not get it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good...
Because that's one thing that we do get in here, where it's actually just like people come round and go, oh, where's this made? And you're like, that's made in Scotland. And then you go, where's that made? That's made in Portugal. And it's literally just like, why is everything not made in Scotland? Why is it not all Scotland? And I was just like, and I don't mean to sound like an arsehole here, but I can tell by the clothing that you're wearing that it's not all made in Scotland.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I think people are quite happy to moan about it, but actually, how many people are actually willing to put their hands in their pockets and go, I'm supporting local, I'm buying local, and that's what I'm doing. You do. You've got my t-shirt on. Yeah, exactly.
Kate's going to have. Kate's going to be wearing your hardware underwear, your t-shirt, and your leg wear as soon as it releases. That's it. Yeah. So, and it is, as you say, though, so many folk that are like, oh, it should all be made there. Oh, we've killed the manufacturer, and it's like,
we need to
everything you're buying's for somewhere else.
See, do you know what was so funny? Like, see, when I first launched the brand and like loads of my jackets were made in England, through social media, I got more abuse from people with the fact that it was made in England and not Portugal.
That's a Scottish thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's 100%
Honestly,
a Scottish thing.
Yeah. What are you getting made in England for? Like, hey? And it was literally just like, why is it not all made in Scotland? And I'm literally just like,
UK.
I don't know. I've literally just, I've came from a fucking restaurant a year ago. Like, hey, I've just fucking pulled this at my arse, and you're sitting telling me. And then you get some guy going, you know, just make your own factory. Are they not handing out grants for that? And you're literally just like, mate, go away. Like, I don't need this.
I don't know, handing out 10, 15, 20 million pound grants.
But my brand's pretty squeaky clean here. Like, do you know what I mean? But what I say is that you're always going to get hold over the coals for something. So it's just something that I've learned, which is literally just like, which I found, that's something that I found really hard as a business owner, is that I'm a people pleaser. I like people to like me. It's not, it's nice, but it's not a healthy trait either. Right? But then, you know, having a brand that has, you know, what you can understand is that with clothing, it's quite a subjective thing.
Yep.
And is that basically not everybody's going to like you. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it's literally just like, I've had to accept that. And the problem is that people don't like you are a lot more vocal than the people that like you.
Yeah.
Do you know?
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Mate, I remember my first job, other than working at bike shops in the weekend, TK Maxx, and they're like, just remember, bad customer service, somebody will tell 10 people. The world's best customer service, they'll tell one. And it's so true. The difference is on social media and the internet now, and doing anything that's like, everyone can see it, just paste it.
Do you know what the thing is? It's literally just like, it's like there's so many like maybe local kind of like, you know, PR, you know, Glasgow Live or something like that, where literally just like, they probably happily put stories up about us, and me and Luca are literally just like, oh, no. Brings out the worst people. Do you know what I mean? It does, like, it's literally, and the thing is, it's literally just like people are like, just don't look at the comments, and you're literally just like, self-sabotaging nature. You're literally just like, I'm gonna look at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're always like post and ghost.
Post and ghost.
I
don't look at comments. Don't look at comments. Don't look at any interaction. And if I was running We Are Makers, it wouldn't be what it is today. Because I'm great at posting and ghosting. Like, I'd never look at comments. I don't mind. It's not in my periphery. But if I was running the brand online like Kate is running We Are Makers brand online, it would not have grown the way it is, because you do go through the comments, and that's what makes it such a strong brand that people can connect to. But unfortunately, as you're going through it, and we've been really lucky, I can't think of any cases where there's been anyone being super negative about it. Or
I mean, it's hard not to like what you guys are doing. Do you know what I mean? It's an extremely likeable thing. Like, if anybody wants to haul you guys over the coals, like, for what you're doing, do you know what I mean? Which is just like, you're supporting, you know, makers, do you know what I mean? And telling their stories, and it's literally just like, it's an extremely likeable thing. And it's I mean, the thing is, like, so with us, we don't get, like, our own socials is fine, but it's when you do sponsor posts and it goes out there to the world of people that necessarily, do you know what I mean? You've got some guy that's, you know, 8 cans deep and then gets hit with an ad for a donkey jacket. Do you know what I mean? And it's literally just like, oh, donkey jacket. This is just like, you know, 320 quid. Who the fuck do you think you fucking ass? Do you know what I mean? You're literally just like, the next day he probably doesn't remember he's done it. No. But it's pissed you off for a whole week.
And you're just in this, you're in the trough for a week because somebody just blazed you online.
And I think, you know, with the direction that we took the brand, which was like the shipbuilding heritage kind of angle, is you realise that, you know, 99% of the people that come in here love it. There's also that 1% of people, which I understand, they don't have that fond memories of the industry. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it's just like, we've had to learn that and take that on board and go, listen, you know, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? And that's why it's really important for us to do like our action and asbestos thing. Where like 5% of all of our sales of t-shirts and sweatshirts goes to action and asbestos. You know, so where that's Scotland's leading kind of industrial cancer charity.
Yeah, so for folk that don't know about that, like the action and asbestos thing, like asbestos is a massive killer.
Yeah.
Especially anyone from the industrial age. Like it's a huge killer in Scotland.
Yeah.
Just from what it is. You know, it's what is it gives you? It like coats your lungs, doesn't it? And so you 5% of all your sales, just to reiterate that, because it is quite an important point, all goes back to that, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's really important for us, do you know? And that's where we're trying to do things like, even like the Clyde Bank thing that we did. You know, 10% of all those sales went back to the club. They also got a load of shirts at cost price, as many as they wanted to sell. So, and that's where it's just. As a brand, it's, you know, you can make great products and do all that kind of stuff, but you've still got to work on community, you know, and that's where it's just like eating into different communities. You know, we're looking to try and raise some money for the Fairfield shipbuild, you know, the Fairfield Museum. So that's another wee project. I can't talk too much about it at the moment because it might not happen, but we're going to do something for them anyway. But it's important to it just gives you substance. You know, and that's important to us as well, where and you know, just as I said, it's just like we are a community brand, and we like to, you know, and that's where, like, at Clyde Bank this year, we've taken out an advertising board and stuff like that as well, where, you know, we're doing that kind of stuff as well. So
you're actively trying to do good as well.
So and that just takes time, and that just comes across to people, and eventually, and what we've started to see now is that, you know, like as I said, it was just like we do get the odd bit of maybe like a small time comedian trying to like haul us over the coals for something like. But what we've actually seen the last couple of times, because this is what happens, is like, you know, one of my pals will message me saying, "Oh God, it's happened again. Somebody's."
Turn your phone off.
Somebody, and it's, you start to get, that's Dara's dad who works in the shop. Who's actually done modelling for us as well. He's the older guy that does the modelling for us.
Oh, brilliant.
So where was I talking? Yeah, but what we've found now is that the last couple of times, like, basically people have tried to do that, people have actually hunted them down. And they've taken their post down. Do you know what I mean? Where it's literally just like, where I think now people are realising that the good that we're actually doing from the point of view of we're actually doing everything we can to make great clothes. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then there's also the fact that, you know, we're actually eating into these communities and helping things and stuff like that as well. So, and I think that brand message just takes time to come across. But it's been quite funny the last couple of times where stuff like that's happened, and they're just like, oh, that came down quick. Do you know what I mean? Where people realise they've not got because the reaction that they want from it. And the sad thing about it is, it's just like, the reason that they do it at a local level is because they know they'll get a reaction. Do you know? But as I said, it's one of these things you've just learned to kind of deal with as a brand. If some people really hate you, it means that some people really like you.
Yeah.
Do
you know what I mean? And that's where it's just like, you don't want to be in a position where everybody just thinks you're all right. If you can divide opinion in some way, it's as painful as it is, it can be a good thing. As long as you're not doing it for the wrong reasons. Do you know what I mean? You can be an arsehole and divide opinion, but what you're going to have to understand is if you've got quite a clear band direction, some people are not going to like you.
Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. Like, there is people that aren't going to agree with what you're doing, and if you do anything wholeheartedly like you're doing and like everyone we speak to is doing, there's always going to be people that didn't understand that. Yeah. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. If we were all just kind of melancholy, like middle of the road, it'd be pretty boring. It'd be pretty boring pretty quick.
Aye.
So I think that's it, isn't it? When there's so many more levels to Finnieston Clothing, having all those like community support, that's really backing up the clothing side of it as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the clothing's just that's only the purchasable part of what Finnieston Clothing is as a brand, isn't it?
You want people, and this is where it's just like Patagonia is a great example where people think it's this like all encompassing, do good environmental brand.
Yep.
And which I think for a brand their size, they do a lot for what they can do.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And they're great at marketing it as well. Do you know what I mean? But like people walk around with a Patagonia jacket like a badge of pride. Yeah. That's just like, they and that's where it's just like we want people to do that with our brand. Do you know what I mean? I want people to be proud that they're wearing this brand, and that's where it's just like, the whole kind of with the shipyard logo tees, which are probably, we focus more about the men that work there. We don't talk about the businesses. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't talk about, like the history of the business. It's more focusing on the men that work there. Aye. So it is. So
the folk that skin their knuckles and break their fingers doing the actual job, isn't
it? Yeah, exactly.
Aye, absolutely, man. Kate, you've usually got we've talked for ages now, you've usually got a cracking question to round things up. Unless there's anything you want to cover that we've not covered.
No.
Well, it's usually what would you tell your younger self, but when you were younger, you didn't always want to be your own small business, so... Yeah, the question is, what would you say to your younger self?
Brace yourself.
Yeah, don't know what's coming.
That is a fantastic one so far. I think that's the best one so far. 5 out of 5. That's the top. Brace yourself.
Hand them a wee hard hat. Brace yourself. So yeah, that's what I would say. So
good one.
Brilliant.
No,
mate, thanks so much for your time. I know that was after a long day of work for yourself. And,
no, it's great, and thank you so much for asking me. Honestly, I really appreciate it, and I've really enjoyed chatting to you guys. And I think sometimes in some ways this is almost like therapy in a way for us all.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? It's just talking about other people, and that's probably why other people like to chime in.
Exactly, because this is really the first time I've ever done podcasts, so we're just learning as well. But it's been really enjoyable to just hear your story, and for other people to be able to sit here and listen to it as well. So
we sat down just as we were getting started when you were out there. We'd sat down and Ross is saying, I'd done a couple of like local Glasgow ones, and I was like, great, somebody knows what they're doing at a table then. That's what it's about though, isn't it? You're just learning. Like our first one, there was stuff we missed. The second one was exponentially better, and this one I think is exponentially better again. You just get better and better.
Yeah. I remember looking at my first podcast that I did in Zoom, and it was just this wee beet red face.
Staring down.
Yeah. I love it.
Mate, I think we'll wrap it up at that. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, pal.
Thank you.